Good morning and welcome to It's How You'll Be Remembered. I am Julie Jones, your host and the CEO of today's professionals right here in Plano, Texas. And with me today is Christopher Mock, who is an entertainer, is an improv, I'm going to call you artist because that's what I think you are. And and you're also the owner of Big Frog T-shirts, right? Right here in Dallas.
Yeah, professionally a T-shirt guy.
That's your profession.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then humor is just the side gig. But oh my goodness, we've had so much fun right now. But right before we went live in the green room, and we're already cracking up. So I'm glad that you are here. If you're listening or watching this, please let us know you're here. Comment, say hello. And make sure that you ask a question because this is going to be fun. We're talking today about humor and how you can build your culture in your company just by making people laugh, by having some fun and putting smiles on your faces, right, Christopher?
Absolutely. One of my favorite things to do when a customer comes in, and that's whether it's at my T-shirt shop or previous positions, just a one-liner to clear the air. It doesn't have to be deep humor, but somebody would come in and say, hey, I was thinking of buying some T-shirts today. And you just come right out and say, well, for the record, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And of course the response is, yeah, I bet you do. But it clears the air. It establishes, obviously, I'm here to sell you. And, we know why you're here. And it paves the way for a really productive conversation.
Right. So I think that's a great idea. Would you like 100 or 1,000 today? Right. And the thing is too, I think that, and we were talking to, coming out of COVID and coming back into the office and coming back into people, just being around people. Some people are so excited. Some people are like, yes, I get to get out and be with people. And other people are like, ooh, I'm kind of used to being in my little cocoon at home. And I don't know that I want to be out in public. And so I think humor is a great way to usher us back into live events.
Sure. Yeah. My particular brand, the one I'm passionate about is improv. Like what we were talking about before is it ends up being funny, but the goal is just to keep a conversation going.
Yes.
And that element of it is exactly what's missing when you have now multiple generations of people growing up, communicating like this instead of like this. And what's interesting about that is they know more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to know something, we had to turn pages or drive somewhere to turn pages to find out where the book was to turn those pages and learn, whereas they can put their thumb and get more concentrated information. So the problem is definitely not knowledge-based because they know more, but it's practice-based. It's getting the reps in and having those tools, those basics of improv under their belt to where they can have the framework to continue a conversation.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Oh my gosh, I just love this conversation so much. I want to shout out to Debbie Green, who is joining us today from Chicago. Welcome.
Hi, Debbie.
I'm so glad that you are here. I hope you all are cooler up there than we are here because it's hot and muggy here in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Feels like Houston today.
Yeah. Oh, I know, right? Feels like Houston. Woo, that is tough. We were talking before too. So if one of the things that you can do, and you did it just this morning with the legends at a networking event, is that you take them through exercises to show them how to have real conversations or how to bring in humor, because there's a lot of people out there who are just introverted. And some of us are introverted extroverts, so we can go out for a period of time, but then we need to come home and recharge.
Yeah.
And because I am certified in the process communication model, there is a 20% of the population has a basic need, a basic psychological and emotional need just to be in public, just to be around people and to laugh. And we're talking about that really seems low because there are so many people out there who just need human connection. And that's what you did just this morning, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a continuation of last week's talk. Last week I got up and did, basics of improv. I treated it kind of like my honeymoon. I had 1 week in London. And if you have 1 week in London, you can see the inside of a few things, or you can see the outside of everything. And so that's what we did. We went around and saw the outside of everything. And I was, and so we have a lot of outdoor pictures of London.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
And in the same sense, when I want to teach somebody who is less experienced, less practiced in communication, it breaks down to 3 categories, right? It's nuance, right? Because sometimes it's they're asking a question, but they're asking what's in it for me, and they're asking, are you competent enough to answer my question?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to teach people to convey those things. And then the improv practice, yes, and many people have heard it, many people have read about it, many people have seen it, but very few people have practiced it.
Yep.
And it's one of those things, if you practice for 20 minutes 2 times, you can lock it in and you will benefit. I mean, that's what I did 16 years ago, and I'm still benefiting now.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, and that exercise is a Disney. It's part of the Disney University, right? Am I wrong in that? Yes, Ann?
It might be. It's so if you're unfamiliar, it comes from improvisational comedy. So think Whose Line Is It Anyway? Where they give you a subject and just keep it moving. Yeah. But I'm sure and I'm hopeful that a lot of people are using it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, we as coaches, because and is a continuation. So we're going to build on it. You keep going, and this, and what else? And
yes.
And so it really validates. And the word but is contradictory.
It puts a fork in the road. So the best example I have is when I ran T-Mobile stores. People would come in and say, hey, can I bring my number over from X, Y, and Z? And the average employee would say, well, do you have your account number? Right. Oh. Which is a but. It puts a fork in the road. And now they're thinking, well, if I don't have my account number, then I can't keep it. Whereas yes, and in that context would be absolutely. I love taking numbers away from those guys. The way we do that is. Right. Wow. So but we could bring up the account number piece, and I like to use that as a moving forward. Hey, do you have your account number, or is that something I can help you get?
Right.
Right. Because at that point we've created inertia. All right. I've answered, yes, I'm competent enough to answer your question. Yes, you've asked a very smart question, and I'm giving you the information that you were hopeful for.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I'm on your team.
Yes.
I'm with you. I'm going to help you through it.
Absolutely.
We're going to need your account number, but if you don't have it, that's okay. I can help you get it. It's like, okay. So now I'm confident in somebody helping me. So yeah, I love that. I love that. Let's get back into the comments real quick. Debbie says, oh, it's hot in Chicago. Yeah, it is. It is July. July and August tend to be kind of brutal, I think, especially here in Texas. And Michael Dean is in the house.
Michael Dean.
He says Christopher is one of the nicest people I've ever met. I think I will agree with you on that. I've only met him on Zoom a couple of times because we were connected through networking. That's how we met. But the fact that I live next door to his father has nothing to do with it. Yes. Nothing at all.
What's going on, Michael?
Yeah, very good. And you are a USN veteran. Thank you so much for protecting our freedom and giving us a platform like this so that we can have conversations. We don't have freedoms without the people who protect us. So thank you. I love to, so do you go into companies? I mean, I know that you go into networking events.
Yeah. And I'd love to help more companies, And, it's an initiative to build the personal brand, which is something that I've been sorely lacking on for the first 7 years of owning a t-shirt shop. But yeah, I would love to help people if they're having the same trouble that the students of, and we talked a little bit when I served on the advisory board with the University of Houston on their customer experience program. The biggest piece of feedback we got was that, okay, great information for making high level changes. This improves entire verticals.
Yeah.
You know, customer experience in a nutshell is taking every touch point within an organization and making it equally awesome. But our biggest struggle is, how do we teach the new hires soft skills? And one executive came right out and said, you know, how do we teach Gen Z how to talk to strangers? And I heard that and I said, "Ooh, pick me." Because I absolutely love helping people with that.
Yeah. So I do too. I think this is why we bonded, because this is what I do. As a matter of fact, I have 2 radio interviews coming up on the Gen Z stare. You know, and what I was explaining to you, you know, sometimes when you talk to people, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say it's not always the Gen Zs. There are other people who do this too, but right now it's called the Gen Z stare, when you talk to them and they just kind of sit there and go, like, there's zero response. You know, there's no, there's no got it. There's no smile. There's no, you know, thumbs up. There's nothing. It's just staring. And so you're like, did you hear me? Do I need to re-explain? Are you clear? Like, give me some feedback here, because there's, in communication, you know, there's the one who is talking and is, you know, giving information. And then there's the receiver. And sometimes there's a loss of translation in between what the person who is speaking is saying and what's going on in their head and their heart, and how it's landing with someone who's receiving. Sometimes that message is totally different. And so, you know, the receiver has a responsibility to give some feedback. You know, I got it, I understand, I have a question, I'm not sure I get it. You know, and even with your facial expressions. And you know, I've been joking lately a lot about this, because I've learned to control my mouth and I can not say things. But what I have not mastered is controlling this. It's an ongoing journey, Christopher.
Yeah, no, I suffer from the same condition. I am an absolutely terrible liar.
It's the truth. It's the truth. You just, you know, somebody says something and it doesn't land, or my thoughts go somewhere, and I'm like, and they're like, do you have questions, or like, do you not agree? No. I you know, and I want to say, did I say that out loud? But I didn't say it out loud. I just showed it out loud. So yeah, that nonverbal feedback is something that we're really working on, and teaching people how to have conversations. Again, I think it's because pre-COVID, things were already declining. I found, as far as communication was going. And then COVID, we all went home and we were, you know, in our little cocoons. And there were some of us who really struggled with that because they couldn't, you know, get out. And some of us got really comfortable.
Oh, I'm guilty of that as well. It was maybe 2 weeks into the first shutdown, and I had to furlough employees, and I was up at the store by myself to answer phones and emails as they came in. And I looked around at my empty store, and I'm like, you know, but for the lack of income, this is kind of nice, you know, like I could get used to this, you know? And me being an 80s kid, I had never once really thought, like, am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? It's, I have a job to do. Right. I have a purpose, and that trumps personality and comfort zone and all that. 'Cause, you know, you just got to get out and do it. But
you got to do it.
But I appreciated the quiet for a little bit, and I'm like, am I an introvert?
There's something peaceful about a quiet where you can just hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. I was ready to rejoin the land of the living after.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I was talking the other day with a group of friends, and this topic came up about going to conferences and rooming together. And some people room well together, and some people don't. And one lady was sharing that one time she was rooming with somebody she didn't know very well. They were just sharing the cost of the room, and things like, I have to have the TV on constantly. I can't fall asleep unless I have the TV on, versus I have to have it quiet and dark to fall asleep. And so these kinds of things, when you're out in the world and you're together, and these are lessons that we learn. So how do you deal with, well, I can't fall asleep if the TV's on, and somebody says, well, I have to have the TV on. So let's set a timer. Let's do something so that we can each have our needs met. In that. And I think the lesson that came out of it for us was, I just need to be in my own room. I just pay the cost. I'll go to a discount website or use a coupon or points or do something. But yeah, need to be in my own space.
Yeah. And I mean, it seems like something you make that mistake once, and then you realize you're going to handle that on the front end from then on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your TV situation at night?
Yeah. So here's somebody says, yeah, do you want a room in this conference? Well, here's my questionnaire.
Yeah.
What does the bathroom look like when you walk out? Is there makeup everywhere, or is it, do you clean up your area? What do your clothes look like? Do you unpack, or do you live out of your suitcase the whole time you're there? I mean, like here's the questionnaire. And we'll see if we're compatible roommates. Yeah.
Very nice.
So funny. So talk to me about some of your most popular improv lessons and how you do it. What is it that people call you for?
Oh man. So the basic one is yes and.
I love that
one. You start with a prompt, and my go-to is two robot brothers, Rod and Todd, go to the mall, and then you point to somebody and they have to say yes and. So you get rid of words like but and however, and regardless of where the story is, you cannot put a fork in the road. You have to build on it. And that creates conversational inertia. When you get that down, I think the next step is going to be an arm statement. And those have been around for a little while, but acknowledge, respond, move forward. First you want to welcome the question. Next you want to answer, pairing features with benefits, right? Because you want to answer the information and you want to tailor it to what's in it for them. And then you move forward. So going back to the cell phone example, absolutely, I love taking numbers from those guys. That's acknowledge. Respond. The way I do that is I start with the temporary number to make sure it works. I submit your information. The other guys admit defeat, release your number, and you're in service. Now, are you an iPhone or an Android guy? Or do you have your account number, or is that something I can help you with? Yeah. And what that last part does is, and this is another important rule of improv, make your partner look good, right? You want to provide a nice, soft place for the conversation to land, to where it's very easy for the other person to pick it up, because they might not have taken the same improv class as you have.
Yeah. As you're talking about this, you're using it in the context of improv, but what I'm thinking of, this is the art of conversation. This is the art of customer service. It's the art of sales. Because all customer service and sales are really just conversations. At the end of the day, that's all they are, is effective conversations. And what you are describing is how to do that. This is actually what you do. And it's just great if we can laugh while we do it.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Anytime you can work a playful tone into something, sometimes a customer has an issue and you solve it in a way that makes it look just ridiculously simple, right? Now, me as a humble shopkeeper, I am the epitome of a non-player character, right? An NPC. But they're like, wow, that was awesome. And you're just kind of a big deal, and clearly in that context, I'm the humble shopkeeper, but, but it lightens the mood, because they might've come in with, all kinds of levels of stress, and you solve it in a way that just makes it look like, oh, all I ever had to do was ask.
Yeah.
That's going to build trust. It's going to build comfort. And to your point, it's going to lead to more sales.
Yeah. Yeah. More sales, better relationships, even more confidence. Right. Because
True.
I mean, when you can lighten up,
Yes.
I mean, anytime you can lighten up, people are automatically more attracted to you.
Oh, 100%.
It's like your energy level just elevates because you're lighter.
Yeah.
It's all of that. I love this so much. I know we talked about in some of your activities, we have to bring that conversation around to what's in it for me. So we have to, maybe have some boundaries. We have to have some direction to go with that. Speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The what's in it for me, you're pairing features with benefits, right? In marketing, they talk about selling the sizzle, right? Because when a customer asks a question, they may be, I think the most obvious in my career path would have been in wireless, talking about the specs of a phone. If we look at the way Samsung marketed, it was this many gigabytes, this much, this much RAM, this much, whereas Apple went with, you can have 1,000 songs in your pocket, right? We've related it specifically to how you're going to use it, because when you look at your phone, you're not going to say, oh, what can I do with these gigabytes? You're going to say, how much music can I put on here before I have to upgrade or outsource to the cloud?
Oh my gosh. Yes. We always talk about don't use technical language. I know when I had a plumbing company, we always cautioned our plumbers about that. Don't go in and throw around technical terms like shut off valve or, frost proof or whatever. Say your faucet, your outside faucet or the and shut off valve is probably not the best one, but there were others that, like TMP. Your TMP valve is leaking. Well, that's, your water heater is leaking at the top. Just, all of these things, just, talk to them in language that they can understand because that's how they think. All I know is my outdoor faucet's dripping. I don't know that it's a frost proof. I don't know that. So yeah, so use that. And so I think what you did, and Apple was really good. And Simon Sinek talks about Apple a lot. And especially if you've ever heard Start with Why and the golden circle.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, Apple mastered that. For sure.
They did.
So you talked about that. So you have an event that you work with called Founders Live. I want to know more about that.
Absolutely, yeah. So it is a networking event centered around a startup pitch competition. I am the city leader for Dallas-Fort Worth. There are about 130 branches around the world. It's great when I get to go on the quarterly calls and see Addis Ababa and Cairo and, and London and, everywhere in between. But each startup gets a 99-second pitch. It's up to 5 startups in a night. And it thinks Shark Tank, but instead of sharks, the audience gets to ask the questions and vote on the winner. So by being there to network, and it's absolutely free to attend, you get to really be a part of the community. It's a no name tags culture. So if you want to know somebody's name, you walk up and ask. And that is in the intro video every night, and just setting the expectation that you are more than welcome to walk up to anybody in the room and get to know them.
Wow. And then you get to vote on who has the best pitch.
Yes.
So where are these usually located? I mean, you said Dallas-Fort Worth. Is there one DFW or is there one in Dallas and one in Fort Worth?
I try to, and I'm looking for the space for the next event. But I try to do 8 to 10 a year, and every other one, I come up here to Collin County, Plano, Frisco, McKinney. And then every other one I do closer to downtown. So the last one was at the New York Life building by the Galleria. The one before that, a friend of mine is the public speaking professor at Collin College, and he worked this into his curriculum so that we could use the auditorium.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Good to have friends. But
nice to have friends in high places, right?
Absolutely,
yes. Yes. And so do you ever do like Grapevine or go to like a comedy place, or is it more do you need a space with round tables?
Because it's a volunteer gig and I don't have a budget for it, what I really look for is going to be the shared workspaces. People who could benefit from having a bunch of startups in the room to see what they're about. Because then you can show them around and give them the sales pitch and whatnot. And there's some mutual benefit there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so if you are seeing this video and you would like to host Founders Live in your shared workspace, be sure and reach out to Christopher. You can find him on LinkedIn. We'll be sure. I've tagged him in the event, and you reach out to him, because I think that would be so fun. And also be aware, he and I are tossing around the idea of doing an evening fun event, one of his networking events for the art of the conversation through humor and improv. So I think this would be fun. So stay tuned, because we are talking about it. So we will put that out there as soon as we can. So Christopher, this is so fun, and I'm so glad that we met. Thank you, Cheryl Powers, for the connection. She is the quintessential networker here in Dallas. She knows everyone, and she's always thinking, who do you need to know? And I was so glad that she put us together, because I think that there is a lot of synergy here in what we do, teaching soft skills, especially to our younger generation.
Absolutely.
And I love that your approach with improv and humor. I think that just takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah, and it makes it fun. It takes the fear out of it when you have that kind of framework to be able to respond to anywhere it goes. We're talking in the green room before. At the end of the events, we'll ask, okay, what was the most outlandish place this went to? And follow it up with, okay, you're not going to have to talk about that in business. But now, even if it goes that far out, you're going to be able to keep the conversation going. And it's just a breath of fresh air. Just people, I have the tools to keep this moving now.
Yes.
Any way that I can help with what you're doing, please let me know.
Of course, because we know that laughter and humor is just simply good for your soul. It just lifts your spirits. It's just good for all of us, and I anything we can do to bring that to the forefront, I think, is helpful. So thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning to talk about what you do, share about Founders Live. And I just can't wait to get this next event on the calendar. This is going to be fun.
Excellent. Well, yeah, thank you for sharing your space with me. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Of course.